All right, Captain, if you would please give us a log.
Surely. Captain's log, USS Navajo, stardate 48541.7. Captain David Perone reporting. USS Navajo has been ordered to the Sevix system to address an escalating situation involving the Tzenkethi. Reports indicate that the Tzenkethi have seized the Federation colony vessel SS Unity, citing alleged violations of the Treaty of Althara. The Tzenkethi claim that the Federation's planned colonization of Gemulon 5 infringes upon their territorial sovereignty, citing recent shifts in their border following their settlement of a nearby system. The development threatens to unravel the delicate peace established by the treaty nearly a decade ago. Our mission is to secure the safe release of the SS Unity and its passengers while navigating the complexities of this border dispute. Diplomacy will be critical to prevent further escalation, but we must also be prepared for contingencies should negotiations falter. The crew is ready, and I am confident in the Navajo's ability to handle this challenge. And log. Oh no, we still have Tribble on the bridge.
Not the snowballs.
There's still one there. You got them. They were hiding.
So I'm actually blended in with the artwork.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Currently, you are on course. Actually, I think Rise on the bridge, correct?
Yes, I should be.
Yeah. It has been about 2 weeks since the incident. You are currently on course to the Sevix system. Is there anything you like to do in the meantime before you arrive in system?
Just out of curiosity, have we managed to repair our former damage now?
Yes, you've managed to repair all ship's damage by now.
I got to get onto that engineer of mine for how long that took.
Would you like me to roll for that? Because otherwise, it took exactly as long as he said it was going to take.
Oh, I thought you were going to roll for how much Solak really cared.
Well, Solak is obviously care is not the correct word. He's always interested to know that you are satisfied with the runnings of engineering on this ship.
Well, I think Perone probably should refresh his memory on the Treaty of Althera and tell the complaining Cation on the bridge to be quiet.
If we have 2 weeks, I know that during part of her off hours, Rye would have been working on her personal force field project. But I don't know if that's enough time to make a roll to see if I've advanced it any further. I think we've advanced it 1 tick. Or was it 2? I think it's 1 tick.
During those 2 weeks, you probably were busy.
Oh, that's fair. I was just checking.
There's a lot of ship repairs going on, and then also other things going on.
Alrighty.
I have posted the treaty for you in the Discord chat.
I think during the 2 weeks, any free time Vogel get would be spent working on a holodeck project, mostly to try to get the doctor off her back.
Of course, Rye's still going to therapy.
Perone does a lot of fishing on his time off.
GM, I messaged you what Solak is doing. off hours, and then on hours he's continuing to make certain that the repairs on the vessel are functioning properly, and that everything that they've had to do to get the vessel back into tip-top shape is working as intended. So a lot of diagnostics. He's also sweeping the ship every once in a while to make sure that every single Andorian puffball is indeed gone.
I'm pretty sure that's probably what took you guys 2 weeks, was to look for all of those Andorian puffballs. So those Andorian snow puffs.
Snow puffs.
At some point, Perone would have at least tongue-in-cheek tasked Lieutenant Rye with coming up with a better name for those things. But they're so cute, we should send them as a diplomatic gift to the Klingons.
Do you want war? Because that's how you start war.
One day the Tribbles will have their revenge on the Klingons.
Okay, what do we know about the SS Unity and its colonization effort of Gemulon 5? And is Gemulon 5 on the Tzenkethi side of the neutral zone?
Seems like there's two rules here. So to look up the information on the actual vessel, this could be like a reasoning command or con roll. As for the location of Gemulon 5, that would be a reason plus con roll, both at difficulty of 1. Both can be assisted with the ship's computers plus con or command.
Well, Perone will have his chief helmsman there figure out the locations of where everything's supposed to be while he does the other thing. And I will give you a threat so I can activate bold because the dice hate me. I will go fishing with my bold.
I will use the momentum that the captain gained to help with my roll. Stellar cartography or astronavigation for a focus. And then if somebody could roll the ship for both the captain's roll and for my roll, please.
I got it. What do I roll for the captain's role?
I think it was computers command. And then I think for mine it was computers con.
All right,
That's a lot of momentum.
We know who has the hot hand for rolling for the ship tonight.
Yep.
My baby and I are going to get along just fine.
I
2
Oh, and my untapped potential. I keep forgetting about. I believe you get a threat for that, GM. Captain, I'm currently showing the location of Gemulon 5 outside of the neutral zone between the Federation and the Tzenkethi.
On whose side, ours or theirs?
It is within the Rolar sector, Captain. And if I could show you on the star maps, I would. Where I'm pinging is one of those stars is the Gemulons. It might be a trinary star system. I don't know. It's one of those.
What about the Tzenkethi's claim about their expanding borders? They say they settle a nearby system. Which system is it?
For momentum.
I got a bonus with my roll. Uh, if I can pull up my character sheet. From the visit every star, because it's related to stellar cartography or astronavigation, I get a bonus momentum for it. So we can use my bonus for the question. According to the reports I'm seeing, Cap, looks like they laid claim to the Sevix system. Which I'm not sure which star that is.
Could we get the computer, i.e., the GM, to draw where the neutral zone lies on the map?
The map is relative because it's 2.5 light years, so it's from the distance of their star systems that they've claimed is considered the neutral zone area.
Right. But what I'm trying to find out is, does either the system they claim or the one we're claiming fall within 2.5 light years of the agreed upon border?
It's kind of in flux because so the Sevix system is 2.4 light years from Gemulon, the Gemulon systems, trinary system.
Sorry, what I just heard was that Starfleet is or the Federation is in violation of the treaty.
That's what they claim.
Well, I mean, because the treaty says the border was established in Annex A, um, and so if Gebulon, there's nothing in this treaty that indicates that the border fluctuates. The treaty looks to be the border is established by treaty, and so if if the Tzenkethi or the Federation establish colonies on either side of the border, that doesn't change the location of the border in the treaty. And so if either of those colonies are within 2.5 light years of the border, then the relevant side is in violation of the treaty by law. I see nothing in this treaty that allows for a influx border.
All good questions, but this is part of the issue at hand. So
Okay, so was the Tzenkethi the new Tzenkethi colony? Was it within 2.5 light years of the border as agreed upon by treaty?
Gemulon 5, the Gemulon system in question, was considered to be 5 light years from the neutral zone establishment. The colony itself was supposed to be colonized in, and I'll give this to you guys, in 2351.
Okay, so we're abide by the treaty. What about the expansion of the Tzenkethi colony? Was it too close to the border when the Tzenkethi colony was established? Was it within 2.5 light years of the agreed upon border?
I mean, you have access to the ruler, and you can do measurements. So
Yeah, but I don't know where the border was. I mean, is this edge of this green spot? Is
it's
that the actual
technically
border?
that's the edge of their border, and then 2.5 light years from that edge would be considered, So you have to kind of do it like relative ish, but yeah.
Okay, so as I'm understanding what you're saying, anything outside the green would be a treaty violation.
No. Um, so anything like within about 2.5 light years within the from that green line would be a treaty violation. The issue is like space is 3-dimensional, so
Right. That's why I'm having trouble with the map.
yeah, and
Uh,
the map is 2D represent a representation of a 2D map is kind of hard to represent, 3-dimensionally for borders.
that's why I'm asking my navigator, if my navigator who's actually looking at a map, did they colonize a system that was in the neutral zone?
I don't think they colonized it. I think they just laid claim to. And it sounds like I'm trying to like I think we're both talking. I think both of you are talking different things here. I think the issue is, and Jim could correct me if I'm wrong, is that they just laid claim to recently a system that is outside of their borders, but they are trying to claim that they claimed it and that now the borders moved. I think is the problem, but I'm not sure. That's how I interpreted it.
You guys can interpret it however you want. This is part of the story.
Oh, so it's a border dispute then. We think the borders are this, they think the borders are that.
Well, the border is established by the treaty. The treaty will say the border is here. I mean, that's a solid line in space. Either they were on the right side of the border or not. That's kind of a dichotomous yes or no.
I'll put it this way: the Sevix system is both outside the neutral zone established, but is not within Tzenkethi space that the Federation recognizes.
Yeah, so I think it's the Federation thinks the borders are this. The Tzenkethi think the actual borders are this.
But what I'm saying is that shouldn't be in dispute because the treaty should say the border is here. And there should be no dispute because the treaty says here's the border. I mean, it sounds to me like the Tzenkethi are claiming that the border shifted because they claimed a nearby system, but the border can't shift. So that to me, that would be the border dispute. Is the Tzenkethi are trying to claim more territory in violation of the treaty.
Or the Federation never counted that claim system in it, but the Tzenkethi do. But as an ensign, I am merely spitballing on what their intentions are. But yeah, Captain, I think you're probably absolutely right in interpreting that. You know, the borders, as far as you know, should be here. Um, but I think that's where the crux of the episode is around that.
Where was the Unity when it was seized?
Outside of essentially in open space, like open waters. And then until it got near the Sevix system, and then it was, seized by the Tzenkethi there.
Okay. I'm going to ask a stupid question. Is the Gemulon 5? I mean, that sounds like it's in a different system.
Correct.
What were they doing in the Sevix system?
They weren't in the Sevix system. They got pulled to the Sevix system by the Tzenkethi. They were traveling near it. They were passing by it on their way to the Gemulon system.
Now I'm really confused. What side of the border is the Sevix system on? Is there a reason the USS Unity had to travel through Tzenkethi space to get to Gemulon?
They didn't. They got pulled there after the Tzenkethi intercepted them.
Currently, the Federation does not mark the Sevix system as part of Tzenkethi territory.
To the Tzenkethi?
Yes, that's their claim. They've claimed the Sevix system, and then they claim that Gemulon 5 is within the neutral zone territory and cannot be settled.
Okay, and Annex A of the treaty, where is the Sevix system?
It's just outside the neutral zone, essentially.
All right, I'm out of questions until we actually get there. What am I forgetting to ask, guys?
Do they serve apple pie there?
No, I think with this treaty thing, I think one of two things happened. Either Tzenkethi laid claim to a system outside of the treaty, in which case they are against the treaty, or the Federation made the mistake of not including that system to begin with.
Well, what I thought I heard the GM say was that the Sevix system was solidly outside the neutral zone on the Tzenkethi side, so they should be able to claim that. Whether they want, if they want to claim that, they can claim that. But there also seems to be they're claiming that their position. It sounds to me like their claim on that planet should shift the border and hence shift the neutral zone. And then if they're right about that, then Gemulon 5 may be in violation of the treaty.
I think we might be mistaken on where the Sevix system is. I think that might be the issue, because from what I heard is that it's not in the neutral zone, it's further out, but the GM didn't ping where it's at, and I think that might be
no, he said it wasn't in the neutral zone. He said it was just outside the neutral zone.
Okay, it's there. Yeah, yeah. So it's like I said, it's either they claimed a system and are against the treaty, or that system was never put in the treaty due to a, I don't know, an oversight or something. But if that's, but if the Tzenkethi believe that the borders are there, then according to the GM, that would put the Gemulan system within what the Tzenkethi consider what the actual neutral zone is.
Right, and what I read into the log was that they feel like the border has changed because they've claimed the Sevix system. And so our counter to that would be that the border can't change because the border is established by treaty.
Right. I mean, it all depends on how the Tzenkethi are looking at this, because I think you are correct, Captain, that from your point of view, they laid claim to a system that they shouldn't be able to. But then again, it's all up to the Tzenkethi, because, like I said, they could have a treaty that maybe puts that in there, for all we know. So it is one of those things we got to talk with the Tzenkethi about. I'm just trying to make sure everything's clear. Treaty negotiations are complex.
So, are we anything else before we continue on?
Not that I can think of.
All right. You come out of warp and you arrive in the Sevix system. And change that up.
No one's flying the ship.
They're just invisible.
We're on break.
Lieutenant Rye, give us a scan. Tell me who's out here. And see if you can locate the Unity while you're at it.
Yes, Captain.
Give me a reason plus science difficulty of 1, assisted by the ship's sensors plus science.
Star cartography, starship recognition, anything like that would apply.
I guess I take stellar cartography. You're kind of mapping the system a bit.
All right, so difficulty 1, right?
Correct.
top off, and then the 2 bonus momentum. Can I use that to make a trade?
Oh, you might want to wait until I give you information. What you get from the scan.
Very
Because you
good.
may want to ask questions.
Good idea. All right. So we have a 4 planet system. Um, G-type main sequence star, very similar to Sol. And from what I'm seeing, one is terrestrial. But around Sevix 4 is where I detect the Unity and Tzenkethi dreadnought in orbit. Sevix 4 is an ice world.
Any sign that that planet's been colonized by the Tzenkethi?
That'll be a momentum spend. You're
Okay, so I have 2 floating, and then I get a free and an extra question. So I have 4 questions. So I'm going to use 1
yeah. You have
to ask
4 free questions.
4 free questions. Well, yeah. So for the colonization, which planet is it on? So it seems as though the colony is on Sevix 2. Too far out to get any life form count for you, but they're definitely on that garden world. But there's the ship, the Unity and the Dreadnought are around Sevix 4, which is farther. For my second question, are there any unusual signatures coming from around Sevix 4?
So we could ask, see if we could ask about the condition of the Unity.
Yeah. Question 3. What is the condition of the Unity? Has it been fired on or is it seem to be intact? Oh, there might be a small outpost on Sevix 4, Captain. The ship seems to be intact. Doesn't seem to be any external damage. Um, should that be my last question? Yeah. For the Dreadnought, can I get a guesstimate of how many life forms are on the Dreadnought? Dang it. All right. If we want more questions, we gotta spend for them. But that's 4 questions. We'd have to be closer to get a better count. Right now, we're still too far out.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Well, let's not look like we're trying to sneak in here. Hail the Tzenkethi Dreadnought, please.
Whoever's doing comms.
Oh. Uh, would that be you, Vogel, or would that be who usually does comms?
In TNG, it's the tactical officer.
Okay.
Um,
I'll do
but
it since I'm not on the bridge.
but it could be you. I mean, it all depends on where we decide to put communications.
Oh. Okay. Hailing now, sir. Boop, 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 boop.
I believe the line's usually, channel open.
Oh, well, the channel is open. Don't know.
Did they respond to our hail?
And on screen appears a large reptilian-like creature wearing full, military body armor type.
Tzenkethi Commander, I am Captain David Perot of the Federation starship Navajo. I'm here to negotiate for the release of our colony vessel and to discuss this apparent border dispute.
This is Captain Zarek of the Tzenkethi Coalition. Your vessel has violated the agreed upon treaty. You may have your vessel, so long as this vessel does not return to the Gemilan system.
Well, Captain, I propose that we meet to discuss these matters.
There is no matter to discuss, Captain. You are in violation of the treaty.
One might argue that by taking aggressive action against against the colony vessel, that you are also in violation of the treaty, Captain.
Your people have not been harmed. They have been detained.
Well, they have been harmed, and that their liberty has been taken from them. And again, as I said, I come to negotiate for their release.
Very well. One representative from the colony will become a prisoner of the Tzenkethi and for a violation treaty to ensure that the Federation does not make the same mistakes again. These are my terms.
All right, out of character. Did anybody understand what he said?
I'm actually distracted by the cool voice. I'm sorry.
One of the colony members will stay behind and become a prisoner, their leader. While the rest will get to leave. And you will no longer have claim over the Gemilon system.
Well, that seems to be the matter of dispute, Captain. Your your claim on the Sevix system appears legal in accordance with the treaty, which allows for colonizations of planets outside the neutral zone. However, your claim that the border has changed by your claim in that system is an error. The border and the neutral zone are established by treaty and not by, and doesn't change just because you claimed a system you hadn't claimed before. If you wish to negotiate a change of the agreed upon borders, then that would need to be done through the commission.
We have laid claim upon this system before the treaty was ratified. Perhaps you are the ones that are in error.
Well, regardless, the border and the neutral zone are clearly established in Annex A. Sevix is outside the neutral zone on your side of the line. Gemulon is outside the neutral zone on our side of the line. Both of our governments are in compliance with the treaty, in claiming and colonizing those worlds.
And this system is 2.4 light years away from the Gemilon system, making the Gemilon system clearly within the neutral zone.
Captain, the location of the neutral zone is not established by the systems that you hold, but by the border as established in Annex A of the treaty. In Annex A of the treaty, both of these systems are located outside our respective sides of the neutral zone. Therefore, again, like I said, both of our governments are well within their rights to establish their respective systems.
You have 1 hour to make your decision.
Tzenkethi have hung up, Captain.
Is it just me or is that guy a little intense?
I've never had any interactions with Tzenkethi before. Anybody know if that's just how they are?
I mean, I've heard stories through a second party. Nothing definitive. But again, my source is really, eh. That's probably pretty much how they are.
What we were taught at the academy, Captain, is that the Tzenkethi are a warlike species. Very isolationist, too.
Well, I've got to wonder if perhaps this is a move on their part to test the theory, to test the treaty, to see if they can push the boundaries of the treaty beyond what's been established.
That would be a logical assessment, Captain, considering the situation.
If I remember him correctly, Captain, he did say that they settled this colony prior to the treaty being signed.
He did say that, but when when they established the theory, the treaty is when they established the settlement is irrelevant. The borders are established by coordinates laid out in the treaty. It doesn't matter when they made this settlement. They agreed to a specific border.
Captain, was the SS Unity sent to this system to colonize it?
No, they were on their way to Gemulan 4 to colonize that system. And the Tzenkethi's complaint is that we're outside, that we don't have a right to the Gemulan system, and that's why they've seized our vessel.
The Tzenkethi commander did state that they were to keep the leader of the SS Unity while releasing the rest of the crew. Clearly, this is unacceptable. It is not within their rights to take any Federation citizens.
Well, I agree. But if I have to weigh the lives of 799 colonists against the life of one captain, If that's all I can get out of the Tzenkethi, then I may have to live with it. The problem here is this is shaping up to be a border dispute. And we don't actually have, by the treaty, we don't actually have authority to negotiate a border dispute. That has to be done by treaty. That has to be done through a joint Federation Tzenkethi Commission established within 15 days of a formal complaint being lodged. They're outside the treaty. By seizing the vessel, they have violated the treaty. When what they should have done is is to have filed a formal complaint.
That would be the logical course of action. They are acting most illogically. To seize the Federation vessel, to openly be aggressive, it is not logical in any way, considering where the Tzenkethi are and where the Federation are.
Not logical from a Vulcan perspective. Maybe
Not
very
logical.
logical from their perspective.
Logic is not necessarily a matter of perspective, Captain. It simply does not make sense that they are acting the way that they are, unless they are trying to provoke a response.
That may be exactly what they're doing. They're testing us to see if we'll make them abide by the treaty.
And Ensign Vogel, you did state that the Tzenkethi are a warlike species, correct?
From what I remember in the academy, sir.
Warlike species often respond best to strength, Captain.
Captain, I do have a question with one of the lines in the treaty.
What's that, Ensign?
One of the lines here says that a formal review of the treaty shall take place every 10 standard years to address any necessary updates or changes. Is it possible that we might be working with an older copy?
No, the treaty was signed in 2364. That was, what, 7, 8 years ago.
Is it 42901 is ratified?
Well, it says on what the GM gave us it was the treaty of 2364.
Yeah, down at the bottom it says ratified on start date 42901.2.
Well, I'm not looking at star dates. I'm looking at the top where it says 2364 and it's 2371.
The treaty says 2364, and today is I can't do that math. 4854.
Oh yeah, 48. Okay. Yeah, it's only been like 6 years.
Yeah, that's not math I can do in my head. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we're in 72.
Okay. So yeah, we haven't reached the time to ratify, to go over a formal review. But
Okay,
it does seem that they are.
disregard that.
Yeah. However, they are acting, since they were not acting defensively, because obviously the civilian ship is not going to have the armaments to be threatening. Seizing the ship and attempting to keep the captain would be outside of their purview for sure. And the captain is right, the border is designated between the coordinates listed. And they can't establish colonies, military installations, or conduct significant operations within the neutral zone.
But this planet is not within the neutral zone, correct?
It's not. I mean, they're perfectly within their rights to settle a planet in this system.
The one that they're claiming was settled before the treaty is in technically the neutral zone. So they can't add anything new or do any military installations there because it's in the neutral zone.
That's not what the GM said earlier. The GM said this system was outside the neutral zone.
No, the one where we were going to Conalot. 1 second. English.
As I understand, that
Yeah.
system is
Hold on.
also outside the neutral zone.
The Sevix system, the one where they claim they're claiming the one you're in currently system you're in currently now, to deal with this, they said they laid claim to it prior to 23 deciding of the treaty. Even with when the treaty was signed and ratified, it was outside the neutral zone. It technically was not in their space or Federation space. Technically, the area of space you're in right is not Federation space. The Gimulon system is about to become Federation space because you're about to establish a colony there. But they're claiming that the Gimulon system lies within the neutral zone.
Okay, I think I get it. Okay.
They're claiming we are not in the neutral zone. But we are, according to the treaty. We were not going to settle in the neutral zone. We were going to settle on Gamelon, which is, by treaty, outside of the neutral zone.
But
They're claiming the neutral starts here at Sevix. But according to the treaty, it starts farther back. So we're disputing what they think is the neutral zone.
Is it possible that they think that since they colonized this, that they get a neutral zone around their new colony, similar to what would happen in old maritime law?
Well, that's what I've been thinking this whole time. I think that's the border dispute.
Yeah. Yeah, they think we own this planet, therefore this is where our territory ends. But according to the treaty, it ends farther back, and this place is in open waters. Therefore, it seems to be a miscommunication between what borders are, and it's not the planets you take; it's where the line is drawn.
Right. I think they're trying to push the treaty by using their claim of this system to push the border back, but they can't, by treaty, can't change the border. And frankly, if we let them do that, then they'll just keep claiming systems and pushing the border further and further into Federation space.
Exactly.
Is it possible, Captain, that they might just think that this might just be a mistake of an interpretation of the treaty itself? Maybe they just assume that if they were to establish a colony, that it automatically gets a neutral zone around it.
That would be my hope, because the other possibility, again, is that they are either attempting to expand use this shifting board, this imaginary shifting border of theirs to expand their territory, or they're looking for an excuse to start a war.
Which I think is why he wants to keep the captain. Because if it was just a misunderstanding, they would have returned once we shut up and blah, blah, blah. They should have returned the ship. But they're using it to try to keep the captain and say, you can't settle there. It seems more aggressive than just a misunderstanding.
Agreed. This is
they're attempting to appear reasonable by allowing us to reclaim 799 lives.
But the abduction of Federation citizens without provocation is not acceptable to the Federation or to Starfleet. Unless they are directly looking to provocate a war.
Wouldn't that depend on how the treaty is, I'm losing words here, interpreted? This does allow for defense of their territories.
The thing is, the neutral zone is not in their territory. Even if they were even if they claimed the new planet, the planet Sevix as their border, they're not allowed to take. They're allowed to take defensive actions. Us attempting to settle there would have been a diplomatic result, so they shouldn't have taken the ship in either case.
But it does say that the defensive measures within respective territories shall not be construed as acts of aggression. If they do think that this is now their space, would that point not be true?
But no one's allowed to settle in the neutral zone, so they should have had a diplomatic thing. Because they're not allowed. We're not. Neither party is allowed to establish colonies. And if they think we were going
Uh,
to, they should have called.
the colony is not in the neutral zone.
No, but if they think it is, if they're claiming that it's in the neutral zone, even though it's not, they should not have taken the ship because they were not acting aggressively.
Oh,
Indeed,
I
it
see.
is a civilian vessel, not a warship.
Yes.
Logically, what they should have done was to escort the vessel out of the space that they thought was their space by
And then
holding
contacted Starfleet.
Federation citizens and essentially using them right now as hostages for negotiation would suggest something alternative than a simple border dispute.
What does Starfleet have on a psychological profile of the Tzenkethi? What do we really know about them? I mean, they're aggressive, but are they aggressive with perspectives on honor like the Klingons, or are they just aggressive?
That would be like a roll. So
All right, Ed, can we make a roll to pull up Starfleet's psych profile of the Tzenkethi?
reason plus medicine difficulty 2. Assisted by the ship's computers plus medicine.
To call it up on the computer?
That is to go through the notes. You're talking about like a notes written by like counselors and ambassadors who went through like the mental type ideology of the Tzenkethi. That's why it's a difficulty too, because there's a lot of conflicting information.
I'll blow 3 momentum on this. I don't. I don't know that. Do we get a? Well, it doesn't matter if we get a computer assist or not.
Well, there's a complication, but you get a momentum back.
Yeah, I don't have any way to re-roll that.
So the Zenkethi live sort of like in a caste type system. They're essentially assigned to it as their social standing. While they can move up in their caste, it's very kind of difficult. They're ruled by what's known as the altar altarch. I can't pronounce it. Which is the single highest role of their echelon as in Kethi society. They're the leader of the people, and they're often worshipped as sort of a deity. The Altruc is really the one that kind of governs Zenkethi society. Many people, worship and think that the Altruc has like godlike, powers and stuff like that. Um, Lower members of the echelon are not able to speak for those in the higher. So, like for a Zenkethi, command of a dreadnought would be considered very high up in the echelons. Um, while they are warrior type like, um, they're very xenophobic and like to kind of sort of, I guess, not like to deal with outsiders, and then are very easily threatened, and often Star Wars. The Tzenkethi made first contact with the Cardassians a while back, and that didn't go so well. And they fought many. The Tzenkethi and Cardassians have fought several wars against each other over the past couple centuries. Um, Many who do not fall in the echelons often engage in piracy um, and whatnot, but are not really considered part of the Tzenkethi coalition itself.
So basically, ancient Egypt. Got it.
Hmm.
Kinda.
Does the file and everything on Tzenkethi's legal system?
It's not their legal system's not really known, but because of their the caste system that they have, it's often looked as if there's not too many legal issues. Many of those the Zenkethi actually still practice slavery to a certain degree. And in fact, even Cardassians have taken Zenkethi done raids on Zenkethi space and taken Zenkethi as essentially as slaves. During some of those more turbulent times between the two species. Um, and there's obviously there's other different Zenkethi houses, but they all singularly follow a singular ruler in the end.
In our experiences with the Tzenkethi, do they make a habit of violating treaties that they've signed?
This would be the first known violation, if this is considered a violation. Um, Most of the time, the other treaties they only really have a ceasefire against the Cardassians. Um, any second, the Zenkethi and Cardassians could go to war. At a moment's notice. That's just how bad the blood is between Zenkethi and Cardassians are.
Thoughts, recommendations?
Since we cannot prevent the Tzenkethi at this time from settling the world that they lay claim to unless we are willing to use force, the primary objective of the mission is to retrieve the SS Unity and its crew. Would you agree with this, Captain?
Yes, without an escalation of hostilities.
Without an escalation of hostilities, then the primary focus here is the crew, the passengers aboard the SS Unity. The offer that has been given to us by their commander is he will give us all of the crew, with the exception of the captain, which they intend to keep for reasons that are only known to them. Logically, it's assuming that they are keeping the captain as some sort of bargaining chip or bargaining object that they could use for a later date, or they plan to interrogate the captain for additional information. This would violate the treaty in clear and, in many circumstances, could constitute an act of war. I state this to you, Captain, because if Federation citizens have been abducted, and if it is the Tzenkethi's decision to use them as hostages, that in and of itself is an act of war.
From a certain point of view.
By Federation law, sir.
Only if they're holding them as hostages. At the moment, they're claiming that they're criminals. Very different things.
Determining when someone is held against their will, sir, what the opposing side claims is nearly irrelevant if we are following Federation law. I am not saying that we are in our rights to begin attacking Tzenkethi vessels. I am simply pointing out, sir, that Federation citizens have been captured and held against their will. That in and of itself is an extremely aggressive position. For a race that wants war and is aggressive in this regard, they may be looking for us to respond in a way that they want to.
You could also throw Article 2 at them.
Article 2.
The Coalition and the Federation of Planets formally recognize each other's sovereign borders as defined by Article 3. Neither party shall interfere in the internal affairs or governance of the other. Technically, the civilians going through are our internal affairs, and therefore they have no claim to them.
It's also important to note that they were sent there by the Federation.
And if
So
we're sovereign, then therefore they have no claim to them and must return them.
I would recommend an aggressive posture, Captain. There could be no negotiation for the release of prisoners unless all prisoners are released together. At that point, the Federation would be willing to discuss with the Tzenkethi the current border situation. But there can be no discussion while Federation citizens are being held against their will. That would put us in a position of better strength. If we were to agree to taking back Federation citizens while letting them keep even one of them, that would put them in the position of strength.
So what you're saying, Solak, is if they decide to, we should sacrifice the one, or we should sacrifice all 800 for the sake of principle.
I do not suggest that there is sacrifice here, sir. This is a matter of presenting a position of strength to the Tzenkethi. They seem to respect strength based on their species personality trait. I do not suggest that we be openly warlike with them. I simply state that we show them there are no negotiations that will take place so long as Federation prisoners are being held against their will. That is not a negotiable stance that we are willing to take. It is also consistent with Federation law. Of course, sir, the moment we take this position, we may need to back it up with force.
Which is unacceptable. At least according to our orders.
Force. That is the area that is open to interpretation. Force does not need to involve photon torpedoes or phasers. Force can come in the form of tone, for example. Aggressive posturing.
That
Another
is not force, Commander.
force is open to interpretation depending upon the other side. The other alternative, Captain, is to accept the offer that has been given to us by the Tzenkethi, retrieve the 700 or whatever the number is, the civilians back, contact Starfleet Command, and request that there be a formal negotiation set up to address this border dispute.
Personally, sir, I think give him an inch, they'll take a mile. I think a forceful, perhaps not aggressive, but a forceful stance with the treaty behind us would be the best call.
Much closer do we need to be to get a better scan of the Unity? I want to know where its crew is.
Are we close enough to where a scan would be productive, GM, or will we need to move?
You would need to get in orbit and in range of the dreadnought to do a scan of the Unity.
Well, we'd have to move forward, but I mean, that would be a chance at aggression, but it also might be a chance for showing strength. Sorry, guys. I'm being forceful over here, apparently.
Inform the Tzenkethi that we are coming into the system to continue our negotiations. Then head for the fourth planet. Half impulse, please.
Hi, Captain.
Lieutenant Johansson, see if you can call up the Unity's prefix codes.
You get a text message back, or get essentially just a text message like they agree, they request that you leave your weapons offline, but your shields can remain raised.
Does that seem acceptable, Captain? Weapons off, shields up?
That'll work. Don't respond to them, though. Their response will be our action.
Weapons powering down.
As soon as we're in range, we shall locate the crew of the Unity.
Aye, Captain.
Give me a reason plus science difficulty 1. Assisted by the ship's sensor science. We're also going to enter a new scene, so you go down 1 momentum.
And I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 more, try to get us more momentum.
So you're rolling 3 dice?
Yeah, 3 dice total.
Okay.
Focuses. Starfleet protocol, starship recognition, warp filter, anything work?
No, sorry. You don't have a
Okay,
focus for this.
that's fine.
Ship rolls sensor science. It rolls 2 dice since you have advanced sensors. But you get the momentum back. Plus 2 more. So you should be at 5 momentum total.
Yeah. Liz and Kathy have the Unity and a high-powered tractor beam, and it seems that there's a total of 925 life forms, sir.
Are 225 of them Tzenkethi?
Yeah, so for my free question, um, can I get the species listed? Or roughly, I guess, like how many's in Kathy versus Starfleet peoples? There are no Zenkethi on board, sir. It does seem to be a mix of all Federation.
That ship was only supposed to have a crew complement of 700.
I said 800 colonists on board. I told you that. And that's just the colonists. That's not including the actual crew
Yeah,
members who
800
run the
crew
ship.
and then 125 crew.
Ah, good point. All right, if this doesn't work, we need a contingency plan to recover the Unity and its people without using force. I figure a couple of things we need is one way to free it from that tractor beam without firing on the Tzenkethi ship.
Real quick, before we move on from this, did I scan just the ship or did I scan the area, GM?
The ship.
Okay.
If we can free the ship from the tractor beam, and then use the Unity's prefix codes to pilot it from here, we might be able to get it out of the system and ourselves. This has got to be done without firing on the Tzenkethi ship.
But disrupting the Tzenkethi's tractor beam would be considered a hostile act.
Depends on how it's done.
That would be an example of the force that I was mentioning earlier, Captain.
So what I need is someone to work out some engineering magic, find a way to modulate the Unity shields to break it free from that tractor beam without using force against the Tzenkethi ship. I need a backup plan, as it were, in case negotiations fail.
Modulating the Unity shields to repel a tractor beam. Specifically a Tzenkethi tractor beam. This is a civilian vessel where shields are minimal. Vessels of such kind are never intended to be fired upon, especially by large warships.
Oh, I'm open to any ideas you might have to freeing the Unity from the Tzenkethi ship.
It is possible, though highly difficult, for us to access the Unity and modulate the shields to repel a tractor beam. Possible, but extremely difficult. The less difficult option is to, of course, fire on the Tzenkethi vessel to disable specifically the tractor beam and nothing else. So that way the vessel can leave, but that would be a hostile act.
And therefore
The,
not an option.
the Tzenkethi could interpret us or the vessel attempting to leave after it has repelled the tractor beam as a hostile act, and they could fire on the civilian vessel.
We could breathe funny and they might find it aggressive. That's really open to interpretation at this point.
Exactly. What I'm suggesting here is that if we take any action to release the vessel from the current Tzenkethi's ship's hold, they could interpret that as a hostile action, and we could be in the midst of combat.
I think attempting to speak first and having to free the ship would be a last resort if aggression is begun. I don't think it should be a move.
I believe I did say backup plan. Yes?
Oh, I'm sorry. Player didn't hear that. I wouldn't have said it then. My bad.
I can attempt to do so, Captain, with their shields, but I cannot guarantee success.
Well, Commander, again, remember, this is a contingency plan, but I need you to figure out how to get it done. Whether it's with their shields or some other method. We need to find a way to free that ship. Again, without using force.
A ruse. A trick. Suggesting that the Unity is in danger and is likely to explode or damage the Tzenkethi vessel in some way. That would then The reaction at that point from the Tzenkethi would logically be to disengage their tractor beam and gain distance from that vessel.
Is it possible to set that up from here? I can't just tell them, hey, the ship's going to blow up. We're going to have to be able to manufacture some evidence of that.
We could create the illusion that their warp core is unstable and that it will explode, thereby necessitating them releasing their tractor beam and us either attempting to rescue the crew of the Tzenkethi of the Unity or attempting in some way to solve the problem by getting on board their ship.
I like that idea, though that does have the drawback. They may decide to just evacuate the Unity. Then we're in a worse position.
It is possible that they could take that approach. But if they take Federation citizens on board their own vessel, that is an escalation at that point as well. They're no longer holding them. They are actively as a Federation. This is a Federation civilian vessel that they are holding illegally. I guess what I'm trying to suggest here, Captain, is if they want to escalate things further by evacuating a vessel that is in danger to all of that crew onto their ship, that is a significant change. Logically, they would simply disengage and move away. That is, of course, assuming that they would follow a logical pattern.
That's a big assumption. That, and if they evacuate the Unity because of some disaster we set up, either a fabricated one or a real one, then they're just rescuing the crew. Then that's not an escalation.
That would, of course, be after the fact. They have taken these people against their will, and all would testify to that once they are released.
Yeah, but that's not the point right now. Right now, I need a plan for rescuing those people and freeing that ship.
That is my alternate suggestion to attempting to use the shields to repel the tractor beam. I am open to any other suggestions that anyone else may have.
Considering what we know about these people, I feel if you stand your ground and since they are Federation, play into the sovereignty that they have agreed to and say that even though Sevix is their borders, that they are not by rights allowed to claim Federation civilians. I think we do a forceful enough show of that and let them know that this is not something that they have agreed to previously that might be the best course of action here.
Right, we've established that. What I'm asking for is a backup plan in case we have to act to free the Unity and its crew.
I think if it comes down to needing a backup plan, it's going to be a fight anyway, in which case we would just shoot the tractor beams. I don't think backup plan would then be leaving us alone. I think if it comes to having a different scenario, it's going to be just combat.
I believe what the captain is trying to say, Commander, is firing on the vessel is a last resort, not a backup plan.
Firing on the Tzenkethi ship will only happen if we are fired upon first.
Yeah. I'm saying I don't think that they're going to allow the time for a backup plan. If diplomacy fails, I don't think it's going to be a we'll go our separate ways and figure it out later. I think it's going to be they find us aggressive, they fire, and then it doesn't matter.
Captain, I can work on only one backup plan while you are negotiating. Would you prefer that I work on the shield modulation that you suggested, or on the ruse that I was providing as an alternative?
I want you to do the one you think has the greatest chance of success, Commander.
In my opinion, sir, I think that the ruse has the greater chance of success. It is all, of course, dependent upon how the Tzenkethi react. What I could be able to do is if we are able to get the data charts on the SS Unity, I can create the impression that the warp core engine is overloading and that it is cascading out of control. This, of course, is not true. We would be able to control it, so therefore there is no warp core breach, but it would create the impression that there is one, and we could use that as a negotiating tool with them, warning the Tzenkethi that the vessel needs to be fixed in a way.
My question for you then, Commander, is can you fake a warp core breach remotely without the Tzenkethi detecting you doing it?
I can try, sir.
Well, figure out how to make it happen, but don't act on your plan until I tell you to.
We will simulate the situation in the simulator and provide the results to you while you are negotiating.
Then get to work.
Yes, sir.
In the meantime, Ops raises Tzenkethi.
Have you come to a decision?
We have a problem, Captain. That problem is that you have violated the treaty by capturing a Federation vessel. That vessel pose no harm to you or your people, so not self-defense. And it was well within neutral territory when you seized it. Your provocative action is in violation of the treaty that the Tzenkethi signed in good faith.
Article 3. The neutral zone may only be traversed by civilian vessels in distress, provided they give notice to both parties. They did not, and they were not in distress. Given our rights, we are in obligation to be able to seize the vessel.
You were in error, Captain. The Unity was not within the neutral zone, not the neutral zone established by treaty. Your claim that the neutral zone and its location changes simply because you colonized this system is an error. If you wish, if the Tzenkethi government wishes to renegotiate the border, then that can be done. That certainly can be done during the formal review of the treaty, which is, I believe, in 3 years. In the meantime, you are unlawfully holding Federation citizens, and I must insist that you return them and their vessel.
Give me President's Command opposed.
You still have that momentum, Captain.
And I saw that threat draw. I'm going to spend my determination towards the mission directive. Take negotiation as a focus.
Give me a second. I'm not done with the roll. All right, your difficulty is 7.
Well, Joy. Again, I'm going to spend my determination towards the mission directive. You take negotiation as a focus.
Yes.
I will give you 1 threat and spend all 5 momentum. I've got a reroll.
Oh,
Do we get ship assist?
No.
I got it.
No, you don't.
Very well. You may take the Unity, but you will not press towards Gemilon 5. Any ships within the Gemilon system will be considered an act of war, including the war vessel you have there currently.
I'll take the Unity, Commander. Your other demand will have to be taken up with the Federation Council. I'm sure you understand my things that would prevent me from speaking above my position. Whereas I would suggest that you avoid speaking above your caste as well. I assume you don't speak for the leader of the Tzenkethi people, which is the voice that would be needed to be heard to modify or violate the treaty.
I speak for the Ordrak, as she has entrusted me with this. Good day, Captain.
Lieutenant Rye verified that the Unity's been released from the tractor beam.
They have, Captain.
Instruct their commander to come along. Instruct their captain to come alongside the Navajo. As soon as they're alongside, Commander Solak extend our shields around them. Ensign Vogel set us a course back towards Deep Space Nine.
Aye, sir.
Aye, Captain.
Acknowledged.
Okay, so I'm assuming the Navajo the Unity, pulls alongside you. Keep in mind she can only do like warp like 7.8. So she's not a very fast ship.
No, that's fine. And we'll escort her out of the system. We're not going to take her back to Gamulon, but Perone probably wants to go to his ready room and communicate with Starfleet Command.
Okay.
For the record, Rye is not eavesdropping on this call.
Now I have a picture of her holding a glass up to the door, those big old Vulcan ears.
Yeah, the suction cup it.
And on the viewer appears the fleet liaison officer, part of your dispatchment. This is Lieutenant Nira.
To near us, Captain Perone of the Navajo. Is the Admiral in?
He's very busy right now.
Very well. Let him know that we have secured the release of the Unity and its crew. We're heading back to Deep Space Nine with the Unity. The Tzenkethi commander has declared that if we enter the Gebulon system, they'll consider it an act of war. And I suggest that we consider this a treaty dispute. Call upon the treaties, the part of the treaty that allows for negotiation of border disputes through the Joint Federation Tzenkethi Commission.
Understood, Captain. I will notify the Admiral immediately.
Let me know if he has alternate orders for me.
Of course, sir. And good job.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Near out.
Let Perone go back to the bridge, though he feels like he's probably going to be turning around and walking back into his ready room again soon if the Admiral calls him back.
A-hole, you did what?
Hey, our orders were to secure the release of the Unity crew without creating escalation of hostilities. We did what we were ordered to do. I got the distinct impression that that Starfleet did not want us to start a war over this.
I think he did mention there being another ship at Gemulan that is doing an active war type stuff.
And if they fire on that ship, that would be an act of war.
Do we have another ship in the Gemulan system? I don't remember that.
You should read fleet logs.
Oh, looky. Ops. Give me a line to the USS Artemis, please. Well, that was several days ago. How long ago was that? Do we even know if the Artemis is still in that system?
The GMs are conferring, make sure our dates line up.
Because if the Artemis isn't in that system, or planning to go back, we don't need to. We don't.
This is Commander Kier of USS Artemis.
Sorry to bother you, Commander. Is the Artemis still in the Gemulan system?
Yes, we are. We're conducting, well, we just finished a survey of the at the planet, and we're preparing the colony site.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to put that colonization on hold. I just got back from we're in the process of leaving the Sevix system. Tzenkethi are claiming a border dispute, claiming the Gemulon system is in the neutral zone. I disagree with them, but they had 800. They had over 900 Federation hostages. The ship they had captured. They released it, but they claimed that any ship within the Gemulon system will be considered an act of war. This might be a good time to back off and let the diplomats handle it.
From my understanding, the system's within 10 light years from the Tzenkethi border, let alone 7 light years from the supposed neutral zone.
No, I agree with you.
I don't know if this has anything to do with what we found on Gemulon 5. He found a terraforming device that frankly could potentially be used as a weapon.
I know that might explain their attitude.
Gemulon 5 was originally a volcanic world and was terraformed over 1,000 years ago by another race. From what we could tell, they disappeared or has moved out elsewhere.
Now that explains things, but they can't claim that system without violating the treaty themselves, and especially since they've already admitted that they think it's in the neutral zone. I've recommended to the admiral that we not file a complaint, but form the commission to discuss the border dispute. But in the meantime, I thought I should warn you that the Tzenkethi may be on their way.
I appreciate the warning, Captain Perron. Though I do find it suspicious as to why the Tzenkethi would choose now to act in such a manner.
You think maybe they're trying to scare us off for the system so they can claim it for themselves?
Or what's within the system. Potentially something's even at the system they've supposedly claimed.
Yeah, I think that's just an excuse. I was wondering if it was just an excuse to start another war by claiming the border moved when they claimed Sevix system. But with what you told me, that makes more sense. We can, of course, once we get the Unity cleared to this area, come sit outside the Gemulon system with you and see if they'll show up.
Possible. I would appreciate the assistance on that. I will conduct a thorough, more sensor sweep of Gemulon 5 and the other outlining planets. There might be something within this system that they want.
That sounds good. Once I get the Unity out of this area, I'll head back that way. I'll park the Navajo just outside the system, and then as soon as I figure out, keep our sensors pointed out so we know when they get to the edge of my sensor range, maybe you can pull out of the system with me, and when they show up, we're just both sitting outside the system. They said being in the system was an act of war. They didn't say anything about blockading the system.
Well, gunboat diplomacy.
I try to avoid that when I can, but if there's something that important that could be used as a weapon in that system that they want, then we need to use their own interpretation of the treaty against them until at least until the diplomats can work things out. They can very well come into the system since they've already claimed that it's within the neutral zone. As long as we sit outside of it, they can't begin hostilities without violating the treaty and starting a war. Hopefully, they're not ready for that.
Understood. I'll notify Captain Nolan and my recommendations on how we will proceed, but we will beat you halfway at the edge of the Gamelon system.
Sounds good. We'll be there as soon as we can.
Artemis out.
Helm, as soon as we're far enough away from the Sevix system that the Unity will be safe on its own, set us a course to the Gemulon system, or just outside of it.
Aye, Captain.
I think with that, we'll bring the session to a close.
Yay!